Welcome into Runners Recap. As always, joined with CCB head coach of the men's basketball team, Rod Barnes. Coach, we are in episode 4, fourth episode of Runners Recap.
We're moving on right along. Almost come to the end of 2019. So
I cannot believe it. Time flies.
It flies.
But obviously, with today, we are fresh off a tough loss for the Roadrunners, as you guys were hosting future Big West opponents, UC Santa Barbara. And this game, I mean, it came down to the wire. You guys were in it the whole way through, but obviously a little bit of a heartbreaker at the Icardo Center. Feels a little early to have heartbreakers, right?
Right. It seems that way, but hopefully we'll get those out of the way now, and hopefully later on these kind of things won't happen to us.
And I would love if you could kind of take me through at the end. This kind of, as I mentioned, came down to the wire here. A couple bang-bang plays here. You're looking at one. So we see the ball, Czar Perry, we get the ball to Taze Moore. He is close to the baseline, tries to make a reversal that wouldn't go. Freeman with the rebound there. But then towards the end, there's a play here with Czar Perry down the line. This one, you spoke about it after the game. Should have been a foul. When you watch it now, what are you thinking?
Well, as I went back and watched it, I was even more convinced now that a call should have been made. Either that's a block or that's a charge. That's not a travel. And I just think the official missed it. And we had opportunities to win the game, so we don't make excuses or complain about losing because of an official call at the end of the game. But I think the correct call would have been a block, because watching the film, the kid was still moving his feet. But even if it wasn't a block, it should have been a charge. And if it had been a charge, I still would have been hurt that we lost the game, but I would at least feel like the referee made the right call. And calling it a travel with that much contact, there's no way that you could make that call.
Right, and when you watch that back, Czar Perry, and he mentioned this after the game as well, he immediately thought too that it was going to be a foul, so that's why he had stopped, because I think earlier in the game a similar play like that had happened, and they called it that way. So yeah, tough. And as you mentioned there, obviously sometimes the final plays don't go your way, but a lot of learning lessons in this one to stay close to a big time opponent you're going to be facing quite consistently in the years to come. What does that tell you about your guys? And also, I mean, how do you bounce back from one of those heartbreaking losses so early in the season?
Well, we've talked all along that this is a marathon. We're not taking it as a sprint. So I told our guys there were going to be a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, just because the newness of our team, every experience that we have, for the most part, we're going through it as a new team. So this is the first time we've had a play that right at the end of the game that really basically called us the game. And now how do we bounce back? It says something about building character with our team. So, we'll look forward to the next game. Obviously it hurts. It was a disappointing locker room last night, which I'm glad it was. I'm glad our guys were hurt, because if you lose a game on your home court to someone that, as you just mentioned, going to be in the same league with you, I think it says something about, I think where we can compete in the league. They were picked first or second in almost every poll in the Big West. And, I'm not sure if their coach think they played great last night, but I do feel like we could play much better as a team. And to go down to the wire, I think says something about where we are. But, right now we have to take care of our business at hand. And we have a game this week going back to my alma mater. And then we have conference play in the WAC this year that we want to finish strong. So we'll get better. A lot of teaching points after the game. Yeah,
a lot of games yet to be played. But when you look at that game, Coach, I don't know if you spent some time looking at the tape already in that one. But obviously, when you down the stretch there, it looked like shots just didn't fall. The ball took a weird bounce, went back into the Gauchos' hands. What did you think is the kind of key factor down the stretch that really hurt you guys that you were unable to come away with?
Well, I think two things happened. I think on the defensive end, we didn't get the stops we needed when we needed them. There were several possessions that we played really good defense. The ball came out of the rim. We knocked it out of bounds. They got another possession, and they scored off the possessions, which to me, you got to finish those plays. You can't play defense for 30 seconds and get a good contest and have a chance to get the rebound and don't complete it. I think on the offensive end, I just think we were not as really focused in the standpoint of way you finish the game. Even the play there at the end with Taze Moore, he should have tried to draw contact. He should have tried to go straight up with the ball and because of how athletic he is. And we had a couple of plays like that. And then, as you mentioned, we had a couple of things that just happened that was kind of weird, just the way the ball, fell on the floor and it squirts out and they end up getting it. But again, that's what you start, really harping to your guys. You got to make plays, and you got to make plays at the end of games, especially when the game is being played that close. I'm a big picture person. I think if you play well before that, you don't ever get in those situations. But if you do get to the last 4 or 5 minutes, you've got to make great plays. And again, we had great defensive stance, but then we didn't close them out because we didn't finish with a rebound. And again, on the offensive end, we had some shots that were there, but we also had some opportunities close at the basket that if we just go a little bit stronger, either get the basket or get a foul, then we put points on the board. We didn't do that several possessions.
Yeah, and as we talk about it, defensive rebounding, that's a big part of this team. And so it's been key factors. And that was a category that you guys trailed in last night, actually, as well. So when you see that, though, how much does that really impact the game? Is just when you guys are doing well on defense and you get in the boards, is that the key to the runner's success?
Well, it is, because it does a few things for you. First of all, it gets a stop, so it keeps you encouraged on the defensive end. It discourages the offense when they can't come down 2 or 3 times. But also, it gives you an opportunity to keep the game in transition. I kept telling our guys last night, we want to keep the game moving. So you do that by having a good stop, not fouling, finishing it with a good rebound, and then getting in the open court, because we're a good, very good team in transition. Yeah. But when you don't rebound the basketball, it doesn't give you an opportunity. And as we talked about last night and this morning when we had our staff meeting, we had 7 opportunities to get the rebound that went out of bounds. That is like something that can't happen and expect to win, because it's like an offensive rebound for them because they get the ball back. Right. So 7 of those, I think, out of their 13 offensive rebounds, that's just too many.
Yeah, when the ball's in your hands, usually means well for the team.
It bodes well for us. No
for
doubt
sure.
about
And speaking of the ball being in someone's hands, that it does well for the team. As of late, it's been Czar Perry, the guard. He's a junior transfer for you guys, but 23 points for him against UC Santa Barbara. What have you seen in his progression these past 2 games that things have just clicked for him?
Well, 3 games ago, we changed his position. He was playing full-time at the point guard position. We moved him over off the ball and started playing Taze Moore as our backup point guard. It's Czar's natural position, and I think he's just found his confidence and he's found his flow, and we found ways to get him involved in our offense, and he's really playing well right now.
Yeah, looking at those plays there, just another testament to the athleticism on this team. And you mentioned too, so along with him and making some key plays like this, you have Taze Moore, and I just want to know from your perspective, is it great to have these high energy guys where, again, sometimes when you're running down the court and you're in those plays, you want them to kind of take a moment, but overall it's pretty good to have that high energy. And what do you think about that?
Well, it is. I mean, that's part of our recruiting. We feel like, somewhere in our roster we have to have really athletic guys, fast guys, guys that can get up and down the floor, that can quickly get from point A to point B. And really with our team, we got one end that we really have that, and then on the other end we have some other guys that we think that bring a little bit different something to the table. But it's exciting, when you're there. A couple of times last night, we got the rebound and Czar Perry was on the other end before their team knew it and we knew it. We looked up and it was like, what happened? I'm like, well, Czar, one of the coaches said, what happened, coach? I said, we drove the length of the floor, got fouled. And that's great. And when you have guys like Taze Moore and Justin McCall, I think it's good for the fans, but it's also good for your team when you have someone that can, in a moment, get a high-flying rebound or a block like Taze had last night, or a dunk that Justin McCall gets. And it's good for the fans, but also good for your team when you got players that can do things like that.
And when you watch that, are you a little jealous of that skill out there, or is that Coach Barnes back in the day?
That is not Coach Barnes at all. I mean, I was a well-grounded. I wouldn't even say rounded. I was a well-grounded player. But again, some of those things that these guys are doing, I just couldn't even imagine having that kind of athleticism. And sometimes when I look at them, I'm thinking, are they real? Justin McCall has had 2 or 3 dunks this year that I'm just, how could he do that? And last night, with one of Taze Moore blocks, he blocked it with one hand and then blocked it off the board with the other hand in the same possession. So it was like 2 blocks in one possession with no one else touching the ball. I'm like, that's incredible. But again, in the end, I want to win. So, but it's exciting to have players on your team like that.
Love to see that on the roster.
Yes.
Well, I kind of hinted at your play-in days, which is back in Mississippi at Ole Miss, and pretty cool moment for you is you're taking the team back there this week. So I know you spoke a little bit about the emotions. Obviously, you're not going to really feel them until you hit there, but a little bit of a homecoming for the Barnes family. How special is that to be able to enjoy that with your family and also your basketball family as well?
Well, it's going to be a special time. Obviously, again, I try not to have too much emotion about it because we're taking a team there and it's competition for us, and obviously we want to win. It's a great opportunity for us to go to such a prestigious university and play against a SEC school. So we want to represent, Bakersfield and CSUB well. So, I'm really focused on that. Again, maybe when I get there, my emotion will change. My family gets an opportunity to go with us this weekend, and it's going to be our first time being back there as a family since we left. So I'm sure they will probably have some more emotions also, but it's good. But also returning with, my son being on the bench with me is obviously going to be a special moment. I know there's shots of years ago when he was sitting behind the bench when I was coaching. So a lot of memories, a lot of good memories. But again, we're going for business, and whatever's playing outside of that, it'll be playing. But really, for us, for me, my thoughts is we've got to get our team ready, get them up to get prepared for a very good team that had been playing well. Took a tough loss last night to Butler, but should be a fun trip. But it'd be really great if we get the win. So.
Historic, for sure.
That would be historic. It would be. So it's about time for us to make history again. So hopefully we'll do it this weekend.
Awesome. And Coach, obviously I have to mention a player of yours that is now with Ole Miss, Jarkel Joyner. That's going to be a unique reunion for the team to be able to see him. What's that going to be like for you to be able to see? I know obviously it was a big factor for your team. You guys had a great relationship, but he wanted to move closer to home.
Well, again, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I haven't thought a whole lot about it. I mean, I'm just taking our team, and obviously he's there, and obviously there's no hard feelings, from me towards him. He made a decision he thought was best for him, and as we make decisions for our program every day that we think that's best for us. Again, it's really not about Jarkel or Coach Barnes. It's really about our team against their team, and I'm sure I'll see him. I'll hug him out. See how he's doing, action. But then probably the time that I'll do that, we're fixing to go in between the lines. So, I'm just not built that way. To have a whole lot of emotions, off the court. Like I'm taking our 11 guys to Ole Miss for a great opportunity to make history, and that's my focus. Again, whatever happens around that, Jarkel, some historical things we may be doing because we're going to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, to all of those different things, like to me, I kind of oftentimes say that's for fans, and that's for stories like you're doing today. That's not for me. For me is to get there, we got 40 minutes to make history, and that's all my focus is. So,
I know. So you're a man all about winning.
All about winning.
I mean,
and again, I obviously, I care. I love Jarkel. I'll embrace him.
Yeah.
But when a clock goes off, when that horn sounds, it's war. And before now and then, I don't say this, I'm sure some coaches are the same way. It's like during the games, like I don't really hear a whole lot. I don't see a whole lot. And sometimes people say, did you see this? And if it's not on the court, I probably didn't see it. If it's not the horn or the referee's whistle, me barking at our players or them asking me questions, I probably didn't hear it. And you know, sometimes I don't know, I guess this is what I was taught, the way I was trained. Sometimes our coaches come back and say, man, the crowd got loud when Taze or Justin McCall, they dunk, and I'm like, really? Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that I do get a chance to see. Yeah. So I see, you know, the crowd, and I thought we had a good crowd last night, but
for sure.
I'm in between those lines.
I get it. Elite focus. We talked about this last season. I was like, if you could bottle that up and dish that out to people, I think we'd all like to take that, because it's crazy to think about, because of course when I'm there, I feel a little of everything, but to think that a coach is able to just tunnel vision, but that's why you do what you do.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's just the greatest, best thing that ever happened, but that's just who I am.
We all wish we could be a little laser focused. Yes. So yeah, people in sports, they do it pretty well. Yeah. Well, speaking of the focus, putting the focus all on you, if it wasn't already, it always was. But we're bringing in the fast break 5. So I'm bringing you 4 questions. You'll take the 5th. But we got to talk, going down memory lane and talking about Ole Miss. It just gets me curious about that experience.
Yes.
What do you miss the most, Coach, about just your playing days? Something you don't get to do as a coach now.
Oh, wow. Just probably just the competition. I mean, obviously as a coach you do it, but then just to study another opponent, another guy, to get out there to actually, you know, experience that preparation leading up to the game and then playing. And then being able to, the worst thing about coaching is not being able to do anything out there on the court when it's actually happened. So I missed that. I have the next best thing to being a player. I am a coach, but I miss playing.
All right. Yeah. Who on your squad this year reminds you the most of you from your playing days?
Oh, wow. I would say probably once he gets himself healthy, probably DeMonte Buckingham.
Okay.
You know, he's not a great athlete. He's a good player. He's smart. He's a team-oriented guy. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunate for us and for him right now that he's still hurt, you know, so he's not 100%, but we're playing him and we're trying to play him into getting there. And we had so much high hopes for him coming into the season, and then he got hurt, and now we're trying to get him back right. But if you look at a player kind of like Coach Barnes, it would probably be him.
All right, leader. He's a leader on and off the court. You can see that, so love to hear that. And for you, when you think about those days at Ole Miss, what's like the one memory that just jumps straight to your mind?
Oh, as a player?
Yes.
As a player, probably being in the SEC tournament my senior year, and coach took me out of the game, and all of the universities was represented, and they gave me a standing ovation. So that was probably the thing that when I said everyone, you know, has some respect for my basketball career, because that just doesn't happen. Usually at that time, most of the time, the team that's there, you know, it wasn't just the Ole Miss fans. It was LSU, it was Kentucky, it was Mississippi State, it was the whole league. Their fans stood up in my final game, and that was probably something that I probably cherish the most.
Yeah, that's a cool moment.
Yeah.
Get the chills thinking about that stuff, right? All right, Coach, so you love Bakersfield. You've been here for quite some time, but there's got to be one thing that you miss about Mississippi. What's the one thing, other than family, of course, what's the one thing there in Mississippi that you're most excited to get back into when you get back there?
Wow, that is a tough question. The 4th question was the toughest question. Wow. Besides missing friends and family, I would say probably the competitive kind of spirit of the interstate schools.
Okay.
You know, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, that is something that you prepare for all year. To have Jackson State and Alcorn State, like that is a rivalry. The Millsaps and Belhaven, that the whole state is really involved in. I probably miss that the most.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rivalries out there,
The rivalries.
incredible. I
Yeah.
know. As people move west, and I've said this because I'm not from, I grew up in the West, but I'm from the Midwest, and rivalries in different parts of the country, just different.
Yeah,
The passion is just
it is a
crazy.
different thing. It's bad at some point, but it's
True.
fun.
True.
But it could be something that. But again, just that rivalry that you know leading up. I mean, you know your target, you know who you're going against, and to see that, and that just happens not only in basketball or football, that happens in all sports, and then it happens at every level, from high school to junior college to the college level. And here it's a little bit different. Being out west, it's a little bit different. And
we're trying.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're slowly getting there. There's too much history out there in the South.
Yes.
All right, Coach, swing it back your way.
Okay.
What's your question for me? At the top of the key.
Yeah.
Didn't make it.
Okay. Well, I guess my question for you, this probably should, well, I guess we could say this. Being here in Bakersfield.
Yes.
And actually filming the game last night and doing the interviews, does it affect you in how you, your emotions, or how you, the next show or the next time?
Coach Barnes.
Well, you're not on ESPN and you're not Fox Sports and it's not ABC, so you're here in Bakersfield, okay? So if you were doing another network and there were two teams here, then I could maybe say, hey, I gotta be totally for, but that's Santa Barbara and that's Sam Houston State, so they're not here in Bakersfield. So how does it affect you after the game when you experienced that last night because you were there? Right.
So essentially, am I impacted by wins and losses? So as an objective journalist, I
this
will.
Is driving 5, fast break 5. This is the hot seat for you.
It is a hot seat, and I think I'm taking my time here. We're gonna take my time at the line, make sure I get this right. Well, as an objective journalist, I always aim for that, right? So of course, I do have a way of leaving my emotions out of it, but I'm human. So of course, getting to know the team and the players and the coaches, you do just have this, some kind of emotions attached to it. So of course, when I see, and I can just throw it back to last year, some of your heartbreaking losses in WAC play, and seeing the players get emotional, it's hard not to feel that. But I will say, although I'm feeling that on the inside, and while I'm conducting, I'm very empathetic too when I ask questions in interviews because of that. When I'm going to report on a game, it doesn't, by the time I get on air and I'm talking about the game, nothing changes because I'm just going to give it straight and tell people as I saw it. But
so
for sure.
That's laser focus. Being very professional.
I think mine comes after the game. During the game, and at the same time, Coach, I will tell you this, it is tough. If you get wrapped up in shooting the game, it's hard to shoot a game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I guess I do kind of have to have focus too, because when games are coming down to the wire, I got to be on my A game because I can't miss that bucket, I can't miss that foul, can't miss all those bang bang plays at the end. So I do become really focused at the end of games like that. But when the final buzzer goes and I can see the emotion one way or the other, I'm definitely empathetic towards it.
Okay.
So and people know I do enjoy Coach Barnes and the team, so that's obvious, but you guys are good people.
I just asked because, again, after a loss like that, obviously, for us, there's a certain time span and, how you approach the next stage. So just being a journalist, just wondering, because you saw the play, you saw the call, you saw the emotions, you interviewed the players, you interviewed me, and do I get back to the set, as you said, and it's business. I report. Yep.
The 20 minutes it takes to drive back, I snap back into place.
Exactly.
But for sure, I will be always honest about that.
Yes.
If you do this job, you care, and if you don't, then you're not doing it well.
Yeah.
So you're all human.
Okay. It's a good question, right?
That's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
You want to switch jobs?
No.
Okay. All right, everybody. As always, we thank you for joining us for Runners Recap. We're always having fun, always learning a lot from this guy, and we will check back in a couple weeks. But until then, we'll see you later.